Hey, it's me, Vicki Marie, and I've got some breaking news, which is sort of exciting and so sad at the same time. But Anna Knezevitch's husband has been arrested by the FBI for kidnapping charges. So, for those of you who don't remember, Anna Knezevitch is this lady, this beautiful woman here, who went missing in Madrid. You know, like people do, just disappeared into thin air. 1 minute she was at home, texting her friends, chatting to her friends, making arrangements to go to Barcelona with one of them on the Monday. Anna Knezevitch is Colombian origin, but she married a Serbian man, David Knezevitch, and they lived in Florida in America and had a business together, and everything was okay for a while, as it is. I think they were married maybe 14 years or something like that. And then, you know, it all went wrong, and lots of sort of different rumors that maybe he was having an affair, this, that, and the other. He wasn't very nice to her. They had no children. Anyway, they were separated, and Anna decided to go and live in Madrid because obviously she's Spanish speaking, being Colombian. You know, so she had the language sort of advantage. She just wanted a completely new life. She didn't financially, she was secure. They had plenty of money. But wasn't enough for David, because as the divorce approached, David was selling off assets so that he wouldn't have to give Anna, you know, so much money that he didn't want to. He only wanted to give her 25% of their assets. Anna, of course, wanted 50% because they built the business up together, etc. You know, the usual sort of horrible things about divorce. Anyway, one day she just went missing. One day earlier this year, disappeared off the face of the earth. Now, a couple of weeks ago, it was about 6 weeks ago now, I can't actually remember completely, precisely, I went to Madrid, and didn't I? And had a look at the scene, etc., and brought back some videos, spoke to some of the locals, etc., etc. Anyway, it's been so quiet because in the end, the Spanish police, I mean, you know, if you think other police forces, cases that we've looked at in America, in the UK and Australia, etc., you think they're quiet. Well, you know, in Spain, they declared it, they did refer it to the courts of gender violence, which is a very serious thing in Spain. But they declared it, the judge marked it as completely secret, so secret, you know, there was just nothing, no information whatsoever coming out. And then it's been quiet all this time. And obviously it hasn't been quiet behind the scenes. I was in touch with Anna's friend Sana, who was tough. Tried to get in touch with Sana, but she's come off Messenger completely. She's probably been bombarded by messages, I would imagine. And, you know, it was like, what is going on? Nobody knew anything that was going on. It was just a waiting game. Anyway, I've just seen on Twitter Brian Entin on News Nation, because News Nation were covering it over in America, because really she is an American national. So it attracted the attention of News Nation, and they were trying their best to bring it to people's attention. So let me show you just what I've just seen, and I just wanted to let you know. So here he is, the twonk. Missing woman Anna Knezevitch's husband, David Knezevitch, is in federal custody. So he's in federal custody, is with the FBI. Now, whether he's been arrested over in Serbia, because in the meantime, he disappeared off to Serbia. he employed a criminal lawyer. He must feel a bit stupid now because the criminal lawyer was all over the internet saying how he had nothing to hide. And we were all asking, well, why has he even employed a criminal lawyer? Anyway, here he is. I suppose this is his mugshot. I don't know. But he's in federal custody now, whether that is in Serbia or whether it is in America. But he was refusing to go to Spain. He was refusing to go back to America. He knew that he would be arrested as soon as he got anywhere that the FBI could get a hold on him. So Brian Enton's just saying they're waiting on more details. So he's only just posted that an hour ago. And then he's posted, like, these are videos from News Nation. But I'm going to look at some of the Spanish news about it, which obviously I'll have to translate for you into Spanish. But I just went online. And there's quite a lot of information on the Spanish website. So let's have a look, see what we can pick up here. It's probably that's probably all they know, because to be honest, it'll probably still be secret, knowing the Spanish legal system and how it works. I don't expect it to be any less secret now than it was then. But basically, it's saying here that he's in Miami, so he's been detained in Miami. Ana Maria Knezevitch's husband detained in Miami. She disappeared in February in Madrid, and this was the missing persons picture. She arrived in Madrid in December, and she was starting a whole new life there. Oh my God, I hope she's okay. I mean, it seems unlikely that she's okay, but we can't help but hope that she is okay. So agents of the FBI, in collaboration with the National Police, have detained him at the airport, at the International Airport of Miami in the United States, and they've detained him on suspicion of being the guilty, if you like, or el presunto autor means he's done it, if you like, of the disappearance of Ana Knezevitch. So they've arrested him on that. And this was last Saturday. So where are we now? We're on Monday. So it's a couple of days ago. And he arrived in an aeroplane coming from Belgrade, where he had been for a few months and where he is from. So he's been hiding out in Belgrade all those months, hasn't he, since February? And he's obviously had to come to Miami for some reason, and they've arrested him immediately. Good. So it just shows you, sometimes you think, because honest to God, people ask me about this case all the time, especially my friend who I went with is always just asked me yesterday, any news on Anna, and there's been no news. And I was just saying, I'm going to try and get in touch with her friend and just see if she's heard anything. But you know what? You can't rush the police. They'll do their thing. They've been waiting for him, by the sound of it, to just touch down in Miami, and they've gone and arrested him. He's been arrested as the supposed culprit of her disappearance. And the FBI are questioning him. And also agents from Belgrade and from the Colombian police. So it sounds like, this has been an international sort of collaboration to get this guy. How could he be so bloody, they're so, these twonks, they think that they're, what's the word? They think they're so clever, don't they? Think they're so clever, and they don't realize. So all these places are working together: Colombia, Spain, Miami, Belgrade. Did he really think they were just going to forget about him and just let him get off with it? Gosh. So yeah, and then it just goes on to say here that it's being dealt with. Remember, I told you about that when I went there, and I phoned up and found out it's being dealt with by the courts, like the Violence Against Women courts, number 9 in Madrid, and it was secret. They decided to make it. This is something they do in Spain. They put it under the secreto de sumario. In other words, no, so they could not release any information. And in fact, even when I phoned up to ask if the case was being dealt with there, they couldn't even say that. They told me, we cannot tell you anything. We cannot even confirm that we're dealing with the case. But they gave me the number, didn't they, of the press office for the courts. And they gave me what information they could, which basically wasn't much. But they said to me I was okay to go off and talk to people and make my own inquiries and things. But nobody from there could give me any information. So the police are treating it as a case of violencia machista, of male violence against women. So although it seems sort of almost obvious that it was something to do with him, because the other thing that had happened, hadn't it? She was living in this apartment in a really sort of upscale part of Madrid, a very expensive area that, not everybody can go and live in. You'd need money to go and stay there. And she was staying in like an Airbnb place. And I got chatting to a woman in the Mexican restaurant just up the road. And she was telling me, that it was a very exclusive area. She couldn't afford to live there, even though she worked there. She owned a restaurant there. She couldn't afford to live there. And that she'd met Anna once or twice. She'd been in the restaurant because they had a mutual friend. She didn't know Anna very well. She'd met her in the sense of seeing her with this other friend. So she had a sort of a vague acquaintance with her. So she'd only been there a couple of months. So he's gone to Madrid. I thought he's gone to Madrid or he's paid somebody else to go to Madrid and do something to her. So what had happened that night that she disappeared? Do you remember we looked at the photos of the CCTV? Somebody had been to that apartment block and black spray painted out the CCTV on the door and the CCTV in the hallway. Somebody had been and spray painted that, a man in a black crash helmet. Literally half an hour before Anna was last heard of, this man had gone into that apartment and done that. But the police were trying to play that down because they were trying to say, it might not be connected because it may have just been, there's a lot of robberies in that area because it's such an exclusive, expensive area. There's always a lot of robberies. And so the police tried to play it down, but anyway, it seems like we all thought it probably was connected. So so the last news that anyone heard of her is that she was looking for another flat to rent because that flat she was living in, it was coming to the end of its lease. It was an Airbnb and it was rented out to somebody else. So she had to move out and she was looking for another flat to rent, wasn't she? Expecting to stay in the capital for a long time. She wanted to stay in Madrid for a long length of time. And so she was looking for an apartment for that reason. And also then the next day, her friends and her family received messages from her. Do you remember the messages? Messages that the one in English, like to her friend Sanna, who's Swedish and doesn't speak Spanish. She received a message saying that she'd met someone on the street. She'd just met some guy on the street and she was going off to spend a few weeks with him at his summer house. And she was he was fantastic. She'd never had a connection like that with anyone before. And Sanna was saying, this was not Anna. this was not the way she was, you know, to just meet someone on the street and go off with them. And then at the same time, her brother or her family or some Spanish friends received a similar message, the exact same message, but in Spanish. But both the English message that Sana received and the Spanish message that her other friends and family received in Spanish, neither of them sounded like authentic in their language. So in other words, both of them seemed as if they'd been written on Google Translate, because they just were not, you know, they just did not sound like the normal language. So this is like fantastic news, but also very sad news, isn't it? At the end of the day, it's fantastic news, but sad news. Let me just, actually, I need to take that picture of Anna down so you can see the article that I'm looking at. So yeah, this is I'm looking at the Spanish news items. I'm going to try and find another one as well. So this was the one I just read out to you from 20 Minutos, 20 Minutes, which is a Spanish newspaper. So let's have a look at another one. El Español, let's try that one. So it's probably just all the same news at the moment. Yeah, the FBI detains in Miami the ex-husband of Ana Maria Knezevitch, disappeared in Madrid 3 months ago. There probably won't be anything different that they're saying. All these articles are saying the same thing. Yeah, a collaboration between the national police, the Belgrade police, the FBI, the Florida FBI, and the Colombian police. So there you go, a bit of everything. Yeah. And the thing is, his lawyer, I'm going to stop sharing that now, actually. His lawyer had come on. Let's go back to the picture of Anna. His lawyer had gone on News Nation and all sorts of American programs saying, oh, it was an amicable divorce. There was no reason for him to do anything to Anna because they were friendly. They were using the same divorce lawyer. There was no animosity between them whatsoever. And then, of course, her friends then came out and with texts that Anna had sent them saying how aggressive he was, you know, that he'd left her like a dog on the streets of Belgrade, that he was having an affair with someone else. So he was just, it's that old gaslighting again, isn't it? They're good at this gaslighting. Let's just have a look at him again on this. Yeah, there he is. There he is, David. Let me just share that so you can have a look at him. Oh my God, it is so nice though when somebody does get caught out in something. So, you know, can just imagine him. Do you think they've gone? See, this is why they go quiet. They lull people into a sense of false security, don't they? He's thinking, oh, it's all gone quiet. You know, he can sneak back to Miami because sooner or later he's got to go back to Miami because he's got business dealings there, etc. So that's what he's done. He thought he was safe to go back and he's been arrested immediately at the airport. So they'll have been just waiting for him, won't they? Waiting for him to make that mistake. And thing is, to get someone to make a mistake, you do have to go quiet, don't you? Right, I'm just going to say hello to everyone now because I don't have a chance. You can. Hi, Karen. Hi, DMV. Hi, Charlie. Yeah, we knew he was involved, didn't we, DMV? I went on location. Hi, Simon. Yeah, it was Chris Cuomo on News Nation that was reporting. You know. Oh, I didn't share anything. Sorry, I'm sharing it now. Hi, Mella. Sorry, you know what I'm like. I've been so excited. Hi, Heather. Hi, Lady Dog Lover. Oh, sorry. Yeah, left Anna's picture up. Sorry. You can see him now. You don't want to see him, really. Yeah, it was the Salamanca barrier, wasn't it, Charlie? Hi, Yvonne. Hi. I was going to say hi, Heather, but I think I've already said hi to Heather. Hi, David. But it is good. It is so good. I just feel I was so excited. Sorry, Misty. Here's the twonk now. Sorry, I was so excited. Oh, the candle, yeah. Well, it did work for Anna, but it doesn't seem likely that she'll be safe, though, does it? That's the only thing. He's been arrested on kidnapping charges. So far, no murder charges, but I do feel that is coming, isn't it? It is coming, likely. Just thought he was so clever, didn't he? Thought he was so clever that he could do that. Just maybe thought nobody would care, because she was sort of Colombian living in Spain, and maybe thought. Also, I think there's a bit of and I've noticed, people quite often they're a bit sniffy about like other police forces. I think that happened in the Madeleine McCann case. It's like, oh, well, the Portuguese police don't know what they're doing. But I'll tell you exactly what happened with the Portuguese police there is in the beginning, because of the area of where it's supposed to have happened, they did make mistakes. Don't get me wrong. I think they made a lot of mistakes, because what they would have done was, in the first instance, they wouldn't have believed there was any foul play. They was just like, oh, it's a holiday resort where nothing ever happens. It's a sleepy little village where nothing ever happens. So I do think it wasn't taken seriously in the beginning. I'm talking about the Madeleine McCann case now. And then I think when this happened, a lot of, like in America, they were saying, oh, the Spanish police this, or, as if only the American police can be any good. But I think a lot of countries tend to think that about their own police. It's just they're a bit suspicious of foreign police, as if they, but I tell you what, once I knew the national police were involved, and Charlie will know this, the Policia Nacional, they are the serious police. They like, if they're involved, then it's something serious and it's being taken seriously. And then when it went to the courts for gender violence, then it's definitely been taken. And just the fact it was made secret, it was a good sign, because they'll have been, they won't have wanted anything to get out to him, to give him any suspicion. I bet they've just left it. He's probably thought, oh, nothing's happening, I'm fine to come back to Miami. And then there you go. He got done for it. Hi, Maggie. So yeah, it does look, let's hope that at least he's going to be brought to justice. I hope they manage to find Anna. I mean, she may be alive. We've got to pray that she's alive. I'm going to light my candle actually again now. I forgot all about. I didn't even put my intro on or anything. When I saw the news, I was just so excited. I just thought, oh God, I've got to do a live and just give you this news, because it is a case that we've been following, but it's a case that had gone so quiet. I did talk about not too long ago, because every now and again I do like to sort of remind, all these cases that are covered in me, they really do mean something to me. I'll follow them through to the end, from the day they start to the end. And actually, we're going to have a look at my playlist. So hey, it's me, Vicki Marie, with a lemon tea now. So I thought I'd do an update about Anna Knezevitch. So this was back 2 months ago, this particular video, but this was not the first one. I mean, I've done quite a few videos about her. But of course, going on location, let's have a look at, I went on location, And then I came back and did a video. Maybe that's the one. Came back and did an update after I was on location. Yeah, a month ago.
Vicki Marie. Good morning from Spain. Good evening if you're in another part of the world, or good afternoon.
Okay, sure.
He's like, oh, she's talking about me. She's talking about me. What's she saying about me? Hello to the ones that are there so far. I've already said hello to Tracy to get my 4 candles. Well, I've got more than 4 actually. I bought loads of candles. I like the candles in IKEA. But you know what? There's no point in me trying to do a live when I'm tired, because I'll get things. We're going to look at some lighter things, because you know we do look at very sort of heavy subjects, don't we, a lot of the time. So it's nice to you know, finish off in something a little bit lighter at least, but interesting. So I'm going to start off though. Very first thing I'm going to do is light my candle. Now I've got a candle to light. I've got many candles. This is a perfume candle, and it's got I'm not trying to do an advert for IKEA, but it's in a nice little pot, so it's a little pot that I can use afterwards as well.
Sorry, I am
time for whatever reason. Sometimes people are ill, or they've got forgot what I was saying. So that's what so I've lit the candle, and now of course we're going to look at a new case. In fact, we're going to look at a couple of new cases, a couple of things. Please press of the stalking experience.
Oh my goodness.
In the lobby of the apartment. So that was also suspicious, but the police were at pains to say there quite often are robberies in that area. We went to, gosh, I was there on that street. I took a photo of that missing poster, and that is such, you can see this car's going past there. It's a massive road in Madrid. It's not a street. It's what would you call it? It's like a dual carriageway, you know. It's a huge road, goes right from the centre of Madrid.
Yeah, so now the question will be, how did he get her out of that apartment? So do you remember when I went on location, there is parking downstairs. You know, there's a big underground car park. So it's possible that if he managed to get her in her apartment, or him or somebody that he paid to do it, may not be him who's done it. He's got plenty of money, so he could quite easily have paid somebody to do it for him. How did they get her out of the apartment without being seen? Having said that, there may be CCTV outside the apartment, because we don't know all the details that the police have got. But remember, we went around. I mean, I think what I'm going to have to do now that he's been arrested is I'm going to have to pull together all the bits of, because I did a long live when I got back from Madrid, about 2 hours. I've got lots of footage on the computer, you know, most of which I've shown you. But what I need to do is edit it and put it all together and make an update now in the view that he has been arrested. And, you know, we always felt, didn't we, that it was something to do with him. It just looked likely it was something to do with him. But as far as we knew, there was no evidence. But obviously there is. Outwards. In the Salamanca area, that's the barrio or the area. It's a very high-end, exclusive area where not everybody can afford to live. Because I know she did have quite a lot of money. Her business with her husband was successful. But of course, her and her husband were estranged, and they were sorting out a divorce. Although his lawyer said there were no problems in the divorce, it's since transpired that maybe there were, you know, there were arguments about the finances, as there always are. Anna naturally wanted 50% of the business, and her husband David, he only wanted to give her 25%. They had no children. He's now living in Serbia, so he's gone from Florida. He won't come to Spain. He's refused a lie detector test. And I think he is more or less the prime suspect, certainly in the public's eyes. But of course, you know, that's just how it always is. You know, the spouse, immediate partner, they're likely to be the perpetrator, so they're always the first one that gets looked at. But the FBI are involved, the Spanish police,
So we just have to hope that things are progressing in this investigation. And we just have to hope that Anna will be brought home again, one way or another, because there's nothing worse, for her family and her friends to not know.
Yeah, I mean, whichever way you look at it, it is good news. I mean, it could be sad in the sense of, maybe Anna has been unalived, or maybe she's been held somewhere. We've got to hope that. I hope that if she has been unalived, that her body will be found, because that'd be awful if not. It always struck me right from the beginning with the the black paint being sprayed over the CCTV, etc. It struck me that it must be a professional type thing. It seemed sort of very slick, really. But then they were saying, and it may be that the police were deliberately saying, to try and make David sort of, not rest a bit, sort of thing. It was the police who came out and said, oh no, we can't put too much on the fact that the CCTV was sprayed out. It quite often happens in that Salamanca barrio because it's such an exclusive area. It's like living in Knightsbridge, if you like, the Knightsbridge of London, the poshest area that you could live in. And that's what the Salamanca area is. Not everybody could afford to live there, especially not, I should imagine the Airbnbs are really expensive. But Anna could afford it. Anna, she told her friends she didn't have to work for the rest of her life if she didn't want to. She didn't need to work. She had made money from the business that her and her husband had together. And that's what all the problems were about in the divorce. She wanted 50%, as you would, and he only wanted to give her 25%. And so that's where all the, money's the root of all evil, isn't it? In the end, it always feels like that. So yeah, it always struck me as that sort of professional hit, but then the police came out and said, oh no, there's lots of robberies in that area, and quite often people spray out the CCTV, so it's not necessarily something directed at Anna. So the question now is, did they break into her apartment and do something to her there and take now? Something that's occurred to me, and I hate to say it, but it's occurred to me right from the beginning. Anna was very short, very small stature. And when I say very, I mean very small, petite, like, not even 5 foot tall. And I just had this thing, what often these twonks do, don't they? They take these women out, these poor victims, they take them out in suitcases, don't they? And it just made me think of someone, got into her apartment, done something to her, put her into a suitcase. I've seen it, I watch a lot of true crime, as you can imagine. I watch too much, I think, but you could look sideways at anyone who had a big suitcase these days, because you never know. I've seen it so many times that's how they've managed to smuggle bodies out, especially petite women like this, or children, in suitcases, because that it's what makes the most sense to put them in, because people, what else are you going to put? But you're not going to sling a body over your shoulder and take it out to put it in the boot, are you? To escape attention. The easiest way to escape attention is to put them in a suitcase, and then people don't look twice at people with suitcases, especially if it's an area where a lot of tourists are coming and going. I watched someone yesterday load 3 suitcases into the back of their boot. Could have been 3 bodies in there for all I know. And I'm getting like paranoid about suitcases now. But yeah, it's something that occurred to me, because we don't know if she was kidnapped from the apartment, or did they lure her outside the apartment. So although the CCTV in the apartment had been sprayed out, surely we looked, and there was CCTV right outside the apartment on the Grand Via, on the great big main road that's outside there. there was CCTV on the traffic lights. So I don't think, and also that's such a busy place. And the lady Maria that we spoke to in the Mexican restaurant, she told me it's busy day in, day out. You know, there's cars whizzing by, there's people walking past. Madrid is a city that doesn't, you know, I know it was winter time, but even so, Spanish people are out and about till sort of 11, 12 o'clock at night. They're not, you know, all tucked up in bed at 8 o'clock, whether it's cold or not. And in the summer, they'd be out all night. But in the winter, they might not be out till 2, 3 in the morning like they would in the summer, or even later. But it's certainly, you know, up to 12, really, it'd probably be busy. You know, a lot of people are only just coming home from work at 9 or 10 o'clock at night. So, you know, you just thought, how could you have been taken from the front of the road there? But was she lured out somewhere else, you know, to meet someone somewhere for a coffee or something like that? Or did somebody break into her apartment, take her down through the, because you can get down to the parking from the inside of the apartment block. But surely there must be CCTV in the garage. And there is definitely where the cars come out of the garage, which is like behind the front entrance, behind the Gran Via. There's CCTV there. And there's lots of bars and restaurants as well, because we went there and we got chatting to, you know, to people along there. So, you know, but they still, I suppose that's what the police, we don't know what the evidence the police has got. Maybe they saw somebody putting her into a car or saw her driving off somewhere. I don't know if her car was still in the garage. I couldn't find that out, what happened to her car. You know, you couldn't get any official information, and we couldn't go inside the garage because we're a bit worried that if we went in there, we won't be able to get back out again, because unfortunately, the day we went, it was a Saturday and the concierge is not there on a Saturday. So it wasn't manned, this apartment block, or womaned. And, you know, as cars were going in or coming out of the garage, we could have probably sneaked in through the electric door, but then we wouldn't have known when the next car would come. We could have been there for hours waiting for the next car to come and open up the garage. So we decided not to do that, though it would have really been quite nice to be, you know, if there would have been a concierge there, we would definitely have done that, because we would have known we could have gone up through the apartments to the concierge and got out the front way. But yeah, so it was just unfortunate it was a Saturday when we went.
What happened to her? And they all say she's not a person that would have just disappeared off with some guy she just met in the street. She was due to go to Barcelona with her friend on the Monday morning, and she didn't turn up at the station. So yeah. So anyway, the Spanish Missing Persons Volunteer Organization, the president of that reckons that these alerts have been seen over 15 million times over the last week. But I'll tell you something, although when I went to that particular area, once I found out where her exact apartment was, people had heard of the case. But the day before, when I'd been there and I was only up the road, everyone I questioned, they did not know about this case. So I think it's not as publicised as this guy is saying. And also, this poster, the lady that I got talking to from the Mexican restaurant up the road, she told me that it was the press came and put these up just so they could take the photos, because the original posters from ages ago, when she first went missing, they'd all gone. But then one day the press turned up, put some more posters up just so they could take photos of them, so it was manipulated, really. It was still there when I went. I took a photo of it as well. Anyway, so this Emils Bonnet, he told NBC News that his organisation is in constant communication with relatives and friends, and he is serving as the family spokesperson. So he said, logically, fear is present we should always say that hope is the last thing to lose. Therefore, we must always be looking for Anna Maria in a good condition, alive. So, yeah, we hope she is alive. Let's just have a look at this video.
Someone has done something to her, and I'm trying to understand who it could be and why.
Tonight, friends and family of 40-year-old Anna.
So that the blonde girl who was talking, Sana, she's Anna's best friend, and she was the one. Let's see. Should be on in a minute.
Someone has done something to her, and I'm trying to understand who it could be.
So this is Sana, her best friend, and it was Sana who gave me the address, because the first day that we went on the Friday to try and find this apartment, but we had no idea what number it was. We knew what road it was on because it had been in a newspaper article, but I didn't know what number it was. And then when I got there and saw how massive the road was, it was like, God, you got no chance. So, you know, we were just walking up and down the road, going into shops, not knocking on doors, but going into apartment blocks and asking people, oh, do you know which is the flat that Anna Knezevitch went missing from? We couldn't find anyone who knew. And then in the meantime, I had sent Sana a message and asked her if she would mind giving me the number, and I was going to go and just chat to people around if she was okay with that. But I didn't get the number of the street until we'd already got home at about 5, 6 o'clock that evening. So we'll say home, back to the hotel. And then Anna sent me the number. So we went, so it was the Saturday, unfortunately, before I got there. And then the concierge was not working on the Saturday. But having said that, I got talking to lots of people. And as I say, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put all the relevant parts of that footage that I took and put together an update. And Anna, Sana, she was very nice, very gracious. And she was so frustrated because she doesn't speak Spanish, so she was getting nowhere with the police or anything like that. So, and then of course she doesn't understand the Spanish system, which, you know, nobody does. But, you know, the Spanish system in Spain, it's like everything's it's hard to explain. It's so different from what we're used to in the UK or what you'd be used to in America or Australia or anywhere like that. But it doesn't mean to say it's not effective. It is effective. It's just so different. And they do move more slowly and they're more cautious with things. But it doesn't mean to say they're not good at what they do. It's just completely different. So she was, her and Anna's brother, the family, even though they speak Spanish because they're Colombian, but they don't understand the Spanish way because they've been brought up in America. You know, they were all getting very frustrated with the whole thing. So I think Sana found it reassuring because once I'd found out that the case was being dealt with by the gender violence, I knew then they would treat it seriously because that is such a hot potato in Spain at the moment. It's a massive, how can I put it, you know, because Spain had such a bad record on gender violence years ago. The last few years, you know, they're really trying to change that around. And you know, I think they are succeeding up to a point. You know, Spain is a very, you know, there's a lot of machismo in Spain, unfortunately. And but you know, the young generations are different from the older generations. These sort of things, they take they're generational. You know, you can't just eradicate gender violence in 5 years, even 10 years. You know, you're talking about a generation it takes, you know, to change the way people look upon things. You know, and Spain's always been that bit behind because of Franco and because of, true democracy didn't come to Spain until 1979 or something. So, they're always a little bit behind everywhere else, but that doesn't mean to say they're not progressing. And as far as gender violence is concerned now, they're really hot on it. So I tried to explain that to Sana, that it did mean something that had gone to that court. It meant they were taking it seriously, because I think she felt originally that nothing was being done because it was all so secret. When you're not finding anything out, you do feel like nothing's happening. But it is all happening, I suppose.
And why?
Tonight, friends.
Oh, sorry. And I just wanted to say then, I saw Ocean's comment. You remember, Ocean, you were obviously on the live that night. One night we were doing a live about Anna, and someone came into the chat who used to work for Anna and David. And they said that David was a very aggressive person, and that Anna was really sweet, but they were both all about money. It was all about money. So, money's a bit, money's important, obviously, but some people are more obsessed with money than others. So, and then when divorces happen, we've just seen that now, I think, with the Mika Miller thing with her husband, the pastor. It's all about money, isn't it? 2 days before she's found with a gunshot wound in her head, she's filed for divorce again. He's trying to move his assets around, just like David, trying to move all his assets around, get rid of him. This is like, I would understand that if you didn't have any money. Like, say you've only got 50 grand between you, which is still quite a lot of money as far as I'm concerned, but 50 grand, you divide that into two, that's 25 grand each, isn't it? And then suddenly it doesn't seem like that much, I suppose, for a lifetime of a business or whatever. But if you've got millions anyway, how many millions do you want? You only need 1 million and you're fine. That's what she said. She was okay for the rest of her life. She didn't have to work for the rest of her life. She had enough money to live comfortably. Maybe she couldn't have lived in the Salamanca area for the rest of her life, but she could have lived very comfortably somewhere else in Madrid or somewhere else in Spain, where, rents are a lot cheaper. So it just seems like money, doesn't matter how much money people have got. They always want more, don't they? They always want more. Greed is a terrible thing, actually. Really is.
And family of 40-year-old Anna.
So that blonde lady that was just speaking, that is Sana Ramau. She's Anna's best friend. I've been in contact with her. She's a very nice person.
Maria Knezevitch are desperate to know where she is. The Florida resident was last seen on February 2nd at an apartment she was renting in Madrid.
She is just so caring. She is so sweet. She is just so soft. She is funny. She is smart. She's adventurous.
Knezevitch moved to Spain in December amid a difficult separation from her husband, David, according to her friend, Sana Ramau, who says she texted Knezevitch the day she was last seen, but didn't hear back. But the next day, she got what she called strange messages saying, "I met someone wonderful. He has a summer house about 2 hours from Madrid. I will spend a few days there. Signal is spotty." Adding, "He approached me on the street. Amazing connection."
I tried to respond saying that I got worried about her, like it didn't sound safe, like what is she talking about, like this makes no sense. And my messages didn't go through.
A las 8:30 de la noche estaba en su casa.
Joaquin Emils Bonet is president of an entirely volunteer-run missing persons organization in Spain and acting as a spokesperson for the family. He says that at 8:30 p.m. on February 2nd, Knezevitch spoke on the phone with a friend for about an hour and didn't have plans to go out. At about 1 a.m., a neighbor across the street saw lights on in her apartment. Emils Bonet says that at some point on February 2nd, a neighbor saw that the security cameras in her building had been painted black.
Por lo tanto,
Emils Bonet warns not to jump to conclusions, saying, "We don't know the time the cameras were painted, and we also don't know if it was just a random act of vandalism." But friends of Knezevitch are quick to bring up the couple's contentious separation, specifically the joint financial interests. NBC News found 3 corporations registered under the couple's names in Florida: EOX Technology Solutions Incorporated, Registered Corporate Agents, LLC, and EOX Capital, LLC. Knezevitch's brother telling the Fort Lauderdale police her husband, David, is, quote, not happy about the amount of money that needs to be split. Ken Padowitz, a defense attorney hired by David Knezevitch, telling us the divorce proceedings hadn't officially started and that his client is cooperating with authorities.
We obviously hope, like everyone else, that she's found and she's okay. But David has nothing to do with this. He was in another country at the time that she disappeared in Spain.
Yeah, now but her husband, immediately that Anna went missing, he employed a criminal defense lawyer. Well, why did he do that? And also he's employed a criminal defense lawyer in Spain. He's not moving from Serbia. He won't go back to America and he won't go to Spain. He won't do a lie detector test. He's not he says he's cooperating, but he's not cooperating in the sense like Anna's friend asked him, to come to Madrid because Anna's friend lives in Sweden, and she did go to Madrid and asked David Knezevitch to go as well.
Well, he must feel stupid now, this criminal lawyer. He was on there defending him, saying he had nothing to hide. He was not. The only reason he was staying in Serbia was because that's where he lives. He's got internet there and everything. It was the most ridiculous thing. And now, well, he'll have his work cut out now because he's been arrested.
To help her, he wouldn't go. And then Anna's family, who are not as financially well off as David and Anna were, they asked David for help because they're in Florida. So that's an expensive trip from Florida. As much as it's your family member who's missing, it's not a question of whether you want to go or not. It's a question of whether you can afford to go or not. There have been to Madrid, but they can't just stay in Madrid all the time, and they asked.
Yeah, that was the other thing. So when Anna's family, who are not as financially gifted as David is and Anna was, when Anna's family, like David, refused to go, Sana, her best friend that we saw speaking then, she went to Madrid, but she lives in Sweden. She doesn't just live around the corner either. Anyway, she went. She must, have been able to afford to go. And then Anna's family went, but then they wanted to go back there and they asked David to help financially because, that's a lot of money, isn't it, to go from America, Florida to Spain. And he wouldn't help either. So not only he would not go and help with trying to find Anna, he would not help out her family to go and try and find Anna. So what a twonk is he?
David for some financial help, and apparently, according to them, he refused. So he's not, it feels like he's involved. You should never judge, of course, but it's difficult to imagine that he's not involved. But who knows?
Just to be clear, he's been in Serbia that entire span of time since before February.
Correct. He's been in Serbia prior to his wife ever gone missing in Spain.
And Stephen Romo joins us now. Stephen, this is a complicated case with so many questions still, but has the State Department weighed in at all?
Yeah, the State Department did answer us today saying that they're involved in any missing persons case involving an American who's lost abroad. They didn't give us any specific information about this case, but that missing persons organization we spoke to in the piece, they did tell us this story is all over the media in Spain, but getting information from police in Madrid has been difficult. He says they've just not been very forthcoming. So there are so many questions left in this case also.
I think what he's not saying there, or maybe he doesn't know, it has been made secret by the courts. It's gone to the gender violence court. Now, that might sound, I know a lot of Anna's friends said to me, I don't understand what that means if it goes to the gender violence
death of Russian
court.
President Vladimir Putin's most prominent.
It's a good sign. It's not a good sign for Anna because it means that they think some harm has come to her, specifically because she's a woman. So in Spain, we have these gender courts. Gender violence is a hot topic. I said to Sana, take it to the there's a special government department, because Spain has got a bad history of gender violence. But in the last few years, quite a few years now, they've been trying really hard to make this better. So they've, if they've got these special courts now that deal specifically with gender violence. So if the fact that it's been passed to that gender court means that they think Anna has been targeted because she is a woman, in one way or another. Could be because she's been trafficked, it could be because she's been targeted for SA, or it could be that she's been kidnapped. But what they think is that whatever crime has happened against Anna, or whatever the reason is for her being missing, it is specifically because she is a woman, that it's not a crime like a burglary that could happen to anybody. So it's gone to the gender courts. It's in court 9 in the whatever court in Madrid, but it has been declared secret. So what that means is they will not release any details of anything. They can't even confirm. I mean, we know that it's being dealt with there, but if you ring up there and ask, is it being held here? They can't even say yes or no. They literally, it's as if that case does not exist. And the reason for that, there's a few reasons that there might be for that, is that they think that by divulging anything about this case, it causes risk to somebody's life. So it may be, it could be for a positive reason. If they feel that Anna is still alive, but she has been kidnapped or maybe trafficked or whatever, they'll keep it secret because her life could be in danger, couldn't it, if any details of the case come out. And so it could be for that reason, so it's not necessarily for a bad reason, but it's totally secret. So that's why nobody can get any details. And if you watch my video while I was in Madrid, that's what I was told by the press association that deals with these cases, that the court won't give any information, not even to them. But I could go and I could talk to people and do my own investigations. That was fine. It's not that you can't go and talk to anyone, but the actual courts and the police will not release. So I think with Anna's case, nothing will be released until the day comes, hopefully, when she's found and or somebody is charged. Or I don't think we'll ever get any other information about Anna until this case is over. But every now and again, I will be lighting my candle for Anna amongst all the others and mentioning her name, because I don't want her name to go out of people's memory. The FBI are involved, Karen. Yep, they are involved. Hi, Karen. Now, okay, so that's that. That's a video that I did a couple of months ago. Now, as I say, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put together an update of because I've done several videos on this case. I've been covering it right from the beginning, because the thing is, I probably was from covering Nicola Bulley, and then that's how things about Samantha Murphy came up, and then because of covering Samantha Murphy, on my YouTube feed, and that things come up, don't they? You know what it's like. Things that you're sort of, YouTube thinks you're interested in, so the algorithm pushes you things, pushes you news that it thinks you'll be interested in. And that's how Anna's case came up on my feed. And then, of course, with it being in Spain, let me put her picture back up. With it being in Spain, Anna, God, I just hope she didn't go through she hasn't gone through too much. I mean, it may be keeping her somewhere, It doesn't seem very likely, does it? Because why would he want to be keeping her somewhere? But anyway, I don't know. But the thing is, I like to follow these cases through, to the end. It's like with Rachel Marin, we're still waiting for news, aren't we, of her killer being caught. With Samantha Murphy, it's about waiting for her remains to be found. You're always waiting. It feels like you're always waiting for something. Now, there's no good resolution probably to this case, but the good thing is always
that somebody is brought to justice. So even if it doesn't bring Anna back, or Anna is not safe somewhere, at the end of the day, we can just hope that he does not escape justice for what he's done. I mean, it always looked likely to be to do with him, but you know, it isn't always the husband. It just 99% of the time it is the husband or wife, you know, the spouse or somebody close to someone. It's not always the husband or the wife. It can be the children, or you know, it's just that we know that 9 times out of 10, when harm befalls somebody, it's normally someone in their close circle. You know, being killed by a stranger is rare, but obviously not unheard of. Look at Rachel Marin, but and Samantha Murphy, but it's rarer, isn't it? And in a case like this, where the money and the divorce and you know all those things just combined, and it always looked likely that David would have something to do with it. It always fascinates me, you know, how does it go from that? You know, one minute these people are happy together, aren't they? You know, she married David, I presume she was in love with him. I presume he was in love with her. You know, and then it just deteriorates, doesn't it? And then it ends in these sort of sad outcomes. It's so very sad. Just going to check once again, just see if there is any more news. I don't think there's anything else. I can't see anything else at the moment coming up, but I will keep an eye on it. Along with all the other cases. Just have a quick look down the Twitter, just make sure there's nothing more. Of course, you know, big in the news at the moment is the Micah Miller case, which I'm following as well. What I'm going to do in the morning, I've got a video planned about the murders in Mexico of the 3, I don't know if you've heard about that, the 2 brothers and their friend went off to Mexico surfing. And they've just been found murdered. Mexico's a very dangerous place to go to. You know, it's a surf heaven. Apparently the place where they went to is all about the surfing. These were Australian boys, 3 Australian friends went off for the surfing, and it looks like they've just been victims of, you know, attempted robbery, and it all went wrong. And they were found down a well. Their bodies have been found down a well. And there was another body down there as well that they think is unconnected, but this obviously is the dumping ground for these twonks. But they've been arrested too. But I'm going to do a video about that as well. That'll be in the morning though. So for tonight, it's just like a bittersweet moment that Anna Knezevitch's husband has finally been arrested. And, you know, although it doesn't probably look very good for Anna. She's probably not safe. But we don't know. We can hold out a bit of hope and hope for the best. But it's sort of, because the only thing I was sort of almost hoping that she might have been trafficked. I know that sounds awful, but at least that would have meant that she was probably alive still. You know, if she was kidnapped and sort of, you know, being kept as some sort of sex slave or something like that, or being blackmailed for money, you know, or held to ransom, you know, or something like that. That was sort of the best case scenario, really, because obviously something had happened to her. But at least in that case, there was a chance that she might be restored, like back to her family, safe and well. But now, if her husband's been arrested for kidnapping, what would he have done with her? You know, there would be no reason for him to kidnap her and keep her safe somewhere. So yeah, it doesn't look brilliant. So, ooh, Ali, you've got a colleague who went to Mexico. Why would anyone want to? I honestly don't understand why anyone would want to go to Mexico, to be honest. It's such a dangerous place. It is a dangerous place. It's a beautiful place, but it's dangerous. They arrested him at Miami airport. He flew in finally from Belgrade and he was arrested at the airport. So obviously the police had some intel, and it was a collaboration between the Colombian police, the Belgrade police, the Spanish police, and the FBI. So Pastor JP has been released from his duties, has he, Charlie? Yeah, we're going to keep an eye on that. Rio got married in Mexico. Well, that was always a bad omen, Rio, in my opinion. I can't even tell you how dangerous a place Mexico is. It is so dangerous. That doesn't mean to say that there's not a lot of lovely people there, but because a lot of it is run by these drug cartels, what they think has happened to these three brothers, two brothers and a friend, young lads, you know, mid-20s. They've gone off from Australia because there's apparently some brilliant surfing place that they've gone to. They were camping. They've been attacked and you know, these sort of, I don't know, these what would I call them? These gangsters, if you like, Mexican gangsters, have attacked them like for their money and for their car and what have you. And the lads have probably tried to put up a fight. And what they were saying on the Australian news, because it's the Australian news that has had the most news about it because they're Australian, was that if you do get anything like that happens to you when you're in Mexico or anyone else, I suppose, that they were saying don't put up a fight, because it seems like what these boys have tried to do is stop this gang, one of which is a woman. A woman's been arrested as well. The thing is not to fight, you know, let them take your stuff. Let them take your stuff, because if you don't let them take your stuff, they'll shoot you. And that's what they've done to these boys. So these boys have probably, you know, not wanted to lose all their stuff. And they've been shot because of it. So, you know, it's very sad. Very, very sad. Very sad. You know, you should be able to travel anywhere in the world. But Mexico, another place is Colombia. And I know a lot of Colombian people, because a lot of Colombian people in Spain, I've had a few Colombian people working with me, and they're such lovely people. Honest to God, I cannot tell you how lovely they are. But Colombia is a dangerous place. That's why they leave. That's why they leave Colombia. It's so dangerous to live there because there's so much unrest. You know, there's a lot of political unrest. There's a lot of drugs. There's all those things that you just don't want if you're a normal sort of nice person. And if you can get away from it, you know, you do get away from it. But they're dangerous places. So I would never go to Colombia either on holiday. So there are some places, to me, you just don't go. I mean, you never know. You never know, do you? Could go anywhere. I could go to Madrid and get attacked, or I could go to London, or I could go. But some places are just that little bit more dangerous than others, aren't they? So, you know, it's a bit scary. Yeah. I just think what you've got to do, probably if you can speak Spanish, you're probably a bit, but they're going for the money. You know, and this happens in Spain. A lot of tourists get robbed in Spain, but it doesn't tend to be with violence. You know, there's a lot of break-ins, a lot of pocket picking in Spain, but there doesn't tend to be violent robberies like there are in Mexico. Things, they've all got bloody guns. So, you know, as soon as they're trying to get these boys probably get their appliances, like their phones, their computers, you know, their car, or anything that's worth anything. And the boys have kicked up a fuss about it because lads wouldn't they? You know, I'd just give it them. I literally would just say, just take it, because nothing's worth your life, is it? But I could see that, you know, they'd probably put up a fight. 3 young lads would put up a fight, wouldn't they? And then these guys, they've got a gun. They're not going to put up with any crap. They just shot them. So, you know, they don't take prisoners. Boys, Charlie, I can't. Charlie makes me laugh with the I can see, I can't see, I can hear, I can't hear, I can't hear, I can hear. Okay, well, listen, I'm going, but I will be preparing as soon as, life is cheap. Life is cheap. In Mexico, they shoot the children, the street children. Their way of, or has been of dealing with, they just go out and shoot them. You know, it's like, that is life, means nothing. You know, so that's the whole problem. I mean, they probably didn't want to shoot those boys, because they'd know that if they shoot 3 Australian boys, they could probably shoot 3 Mexican boys and nobody would take any notice. It's just part of the course, isn't it? But, you know, shooting 3 Australian tourists, there's going to be a big fuss, isn't there, made? And so they've arrested them pretty quick. They found the poor boys' bodies. That's something. So do you imagine that their families now are on their way from Australia to Mexico to go and identify their sons' bodies? You know, what, just can't get your head around it, can you? How awful that must be. But the thing is that gang, there's 2 men and a woman, I think. And they're young. The woman's only 23, the woman that's been arrested. She's only 23 years old. I don't know why it always surprises me when they're young, but I suppose you just think, my God. But, you know, so that was a big mistake that they made, and I'm sure they didn't mean to do it. But the thing is, when you've got a gun, and, you know, those boys, 3 young, strong boys, probably kicked up a fight, you know, and so these twonks have just shot them. You know, they're not putting up with any of that. But what got me as well is that they found another body in the well. So in the well where they found the 3 Australian boys, there was another body underneath them that is unrelated. So who's that? You know, that would be some. Hopefully somebody will get a resolution to where their missing loved one's gone to. But that's obviously their dumping ground for bodies in these wells. So horrible. Sorry. Hi, Annie. Annie, I'm just finishing now, Annie. Sorry. This was an impromptu live that I just, it wasn't planned. I just heard the news. Oh, dear. Yeah, we could go. But anyway, never mind. Let's not get talking about Rwanda. Okay, I'm going. So I'm definitely going this time. Sometimes I say I'm going and then I get chatted about something else. So we'll find out soon, hopefully, what has happened to Anna. We can hope that maybe harm hasn't come to her, but it doesn't look very likely. But anyway, but at least her husband's been charged with kidnapping. It's only a matter of time before the other charges come out. All right. Okay, so remember to always live and love carefully, wisely, and until I see you again. I'm going to put a little bit of music on for Anna. Oh, God, the dog's going to start barking now. Yeah. So remember to live and love wisely and carefully until I see you again. May your God, which will be very soon, till I see you again, may your God go with you. Bye.